Well, howdy doody to ya. Now, here's a story I found in a local newspaper that you probably won't find anywhere else, except the UK. There's a lot of people that are do-gooders in the UK, especially about animals, who don't really have a good grasp of reality. They've never really been around real wildlife, like, say, people in America or even me in Canada, to understand it. And that doesn't stop them telling everybody else what to do with animals, especially even in other countries, even though in the UK they probably killed most of theirs. I mean, there's hardly any real wild animals in the UK anymore. I myself used to hunt in Canada, and I respect the wildlife very much, and I think it's a great thing, because it is nature at its rawest. But a lot of people in the UK, especially women, think it's Disneyland, where these animals can talk and they have family and friends and they go out having meals and drinks. They don't seem to fully understand the actual wildlife thing. For instance, if a deer population gets too big for the area, then they'd starve to death, slowly. And that is nature's reality. And a lot of these do-gooders or activists in the UK, a lot of them are women who don't generally have a very busy job they have to do, so they have more time on their hands to, I don't know, care about things. So here's a sign that one of the activists was holding up: Tesco kills pigeons. Fairly basic sign, looks like it's been painted by some young child, and obviously trying to be dramatic as possible, to try and say that Tesco is actively, purposely killing pigeons. And of course many of these activists, supposedly activists, will walk in these stores and buy themselves some chops, or some steak, or some mincemeat, without thinking twice that the animal had a bolt through its head just a couple hours before. This is how out of touch these people are. The fact of the matter is, where I am is not very wildlife at all. It's very cementy, if you know what I mean. And with all the cement and buildings, there's plenty of places for pigeons to nest, and seagulls to nest as well. The fact is that my area I live in is infested with pigeons and seagulls, but they haven't been culled because of the do-gooders keep on yelling and screaming about it. And what a lot of these people don't know is that seagulls eat pigeons. They just attack them where they are on the street and eat them. I've seen it many times. And that's what happens when you get a place that's infested with pigeons. Pigeons and seagull droppings are everywhere. And it's not just the mess that they make on cars everywhere, it's on the ground as well. And people walk on the ground, dogs go on the ground, children are on the ground. But what this is all about is that Tesco put up some netting to stop the pigeons from getting onto the roof area. And what happened is, they got into the roof area but couldn't get out. So some of them starved to death. Now what probably could be is just around the corner from Tesco, there's loads of needles all over the ground where people are shooting up. But people aren't protesting about that. In my opinion, it's a long overdue for a cull for pigeons in this area and seagulls. If these activists knew how many pigeons and how many seagulls starved to death or died in a bad way because there's so many of them, too many of them in the area, then they would think twice maybe. And I have talked to somebody who is an activist about this sort of thing, and you know what? They don't have a clue. Pigeons and seagulls are very well protected in this area. Too protected, and that's why there's so many. If you have a deer herd with the wolf hunting them, you have a very healthy deer herd. I personally always thought that pigeons weren't that bright of a bird, and they're not. And they're getting even stupider because there's so many of them. They don't even get out of the way for cars. And sometimes they just get run over, especially by buses. I see that quite often, and I'm surprised the bus driver hasn't been charged with murder. But the person behind this sign you see, I bet you is a woman, because she's getting full attention and causing havoc, which is what they do best. And I don't believe that any animal should have to suffer or make it suffer, but when there's so many of them, they will. So, does anybody out there, whoever they are, have any problems with these pigeons or seagulls or something similar, where they think that somebody should take action? The area I'm in is a lost cause. Soon it'll be like the Alfred Hitchcock film, The Birds. I'll put a link to the story down below. You may get a chuckle out of it. Especially if you're living in some real rural place in America or Canada or wherever. It's funny though, because if you see a pigeon in the wild, they act completely different. They're alert and they look like they fit where they are. But here they're docile. They don't even act like pigeons or seagulls. It comes to mind about how females don't deal with reality too well. When a female was near a bear and she went to pet the bear and it ripped half her face off. Welcome to reality. In a fantastic world, people wouldn't grow old and die. People wouldn't die young. People wouldn't get cancer. But that's not how the world is it? And you have to be mature and accept the bad things with the good. It's called growing up, and these people just haven't grown up yet. Good night, sleep tight, pleasant dreams.